Hi everyone. So we are about to start painting our color wheel, and so just to state that accuracy and neatness does count on this. So to check to make sure you have got the right middle color between two steps, I would say you would want to paint it fairly close, and typically I give it the squint eye test and check it by the value contrast. I find that easier. And so this is a finished one. This is the handout that you'll be working with. Now, I've already gone over what we started with. We start with our primary colors, and so those are freebies. You don't have to mix those, so you might as well put those down first. And so as discussed also in the paint care, I typically say 1 spoon. You want to start out with your colors kind of close to each other, and when I am painting something like yellow, I'm going to start, and I'm going to use the edge of the brush to dictate my edge line, and I just do a drag from my wrist. I'm making sure that my bristles are not too glopped up. I can put a pretty good amount in there, but I am going to, I don't want my brush too gloppy. It's actually harder to control. You don't want it too dry either. You want it just right. Now with this paint, the yellow tends to be a little see-through, but mostly you want to have good coverage. You really don't want to see a lot of the paper coming up through. So if, being that it's tempera is opaque, and so if I'm seeing kind of a lot of the white of the paper through, or if you've used too much water in mixing, then very often it ends up looking kind of schlocky. Okay, so I'm coming in, I'm doing my edges. All right, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I do have some tips for color mixing for you. And there we go. Okay, so I just did the yellow and blue there. I'm just going to rip that off because I don't want to mess with it. Okay. All right. Okay. So if I am trying to get to my perfect middle of yellow and blue, I want to consider what my stronger color is, and clearly I think everybody would assume it's the blue, and so I'm just going to take a little bit of that. That little bit will go a long way. Let's look. Okay, you can see how quickly it really affects and changes the yellow. And I like my paint kind of puddled right, kind of close next to each other, so I can kind of do this pull. I can pull color into it and go back and forth as I need to. Okay, so I'm giving it the squint eye. And I'm thinking that's pretty good. Maybe a little more towards my yellow. Just as a tip, I want to end up probably with a good quarter amount of this paint to fill in this space here and also that space there. Okay, now, okay, so then I would have to get to my yellow green right here. Okay, and so wow, they made a mistake. I got this off the internet. It should be yellow green, not green yellow. You always say the primary color first that it's closest to. In this case, yellow green, not green yellow. And truly, actually, yellow should be on the top, but whatever on that. Okay, so if I am then going to get to my yellow green, I can whip my color off the side here and keep in pulling in until I get in the middle. And it should look like it's evenly stepped between the two. And I think that's probably a pretty good yellow-green. Okay, and then for my blue-green, I can pull off and I can use that, or I can bring more in as I need to. Now here's another tip. Free, no charge. Okay. Notice I'm not getting rid of all my colors. I still have a little bit of each color as a backup reference. If I needed to mix back to that yellow-green or regular green or blue-green, indeed, I want to kind of have it recorded somewhere for a reference. It will, later when you're mixing your paints and having to remix back to something, let's say and I started with a yellow-green, and then I wanted to add some red, if I wanted to end up with the same color, I would want to get back to this yellow-green before I started adding my red color. Okay, so you kind of have to remember the formulas. Very often I like to kind of use kind of a math formula, so I could say something like, okay, I brought over two paints of yellow and one of blue. I might write that down. 2y plus 1b, and keep a record of that. So very often you'll see that painters will keep color journals, and they will have a notation system of how they got to their favorite colors. And so I think it's best practice. Later on, I will be offering extra credit if you complete that. So it's a nice little perk. Okay, so you'll need to continue on. I've already pre-printed all these, so we'll be using this handout not to have to replace it, but later I will end up replacing this, probably going back to this style. Okay, all right, thanks so much and good luck.